Hello there and welcome to Namident Academy. Today we are continuing with our discussion on factors that affect PhD student success. In the previous two videos we have discussed about the personal characteristics, the workload and time management, research capacity building, psychosocial factors, and institutional support as factors affecting the PhD student success to be able to finish his or her PhD and get his or her doctoral certificate, and also helping in advancing the science in the field. In this today's video, which will be the last part of this series, we are going to tackle the supervision factors and project characteristics factors that affect the PhD student success in the graduate school. Supervision factor do play very major role in PhD student success. In fact, many people attribute this factor to clearly seeing whether a PhD student will graduate or not. But when I look through literature, I realized that it really depends on which kind of PhD you are in. Are you in the structured PhD or are you unstructured PhD? In both hands is different. How? Because in some PhD, you don't really need a supervisor. You can write your thesis independently, and at the end, the university organized a committee for you to defend it. And in other PhD, your supervisor is the one who might have won the research grant, and he hires you, or he hires you to come and do the research. And that you finish, you get your PhD. In the other PhD, you are selecting the supervisor from the onset of your PhD. And together with him, you are going to select your topic and then move until the end together with your committee. And this is the part of the PhD that is much challenging, that without a good relationship with the supervisor, you are not going to have smooth graduation. So one of the ways that determines success under this student advisor relationship is the structure, meeting, and communication. How often do you communicate with your supervisor about your progress? And do you have regular meetings? Do you have scheduled meetings? If so, these, according to research, that those who have regular, schedule, and structure communication and meetings with their supervisor have 20% higher chance of completing their PhD on time. If you don't have it, you have to know ways and means that you can encourage and speak up that your supervisor do organize such thing. And if you are now beginning your research or beginning your PhD, it's very important that you discuss these things with your supervisor as early as possible. One of the factors under this supervision factor is the training that your supervisor have. If your supervisor don't have a very good training on supervision, it's going to be a problem. And that if the institute or the institution do organize training for them or not, and that if you are a foreign student and you are going to take a supervisor, and that your supervisor never left that city he is, in that he has never experienced some other training. It's very difficult for him or her to see your perspective, and that would result in a lot of problem, as we saw during my graduate school. But if your supervisor have training beyond the institution, and that maybe he or she was once a graduate school outside the country or international student, he might understand you in one way or another. And that the training of the supervisor, how the supervisor was trained as a PhD student, and also after that, what kind of skills, capacity building the institute is giving him or her, will determine your relationship with the supervisor and how you can be able to finish your PhD. And sometimes the supervisors have all good intention to help you, but they themselves are struggling, and how to help you they don't know, as they didn't get any additional training on that supervision. It's just like they accepted the thing and they accepted the position and they started this and that. And you can help them by navigating the procedure and kind of suggesting the steps, like regular meeting with them and some suggestion that you might have learned that will be helpful for them. Don't leave everything on the hands of the supervisor, saying they should know. They are busy sometimes with other responsibilities and they are having different students. And remember, every student is different and every supervisor or advisor relate differently with different students. As I saw in my graduate school, my supervisor was having different level of relationship with every student, depending on the capacity of the student, depending on the ability, the communication of the students, the input of the students, and the need of the student. So if you make this known to your supervisor, you have a special need, you have this, that can help. The other factor is clear expectation and goal setting. You should have clear expectation from the beginning. Ask your supervisor or have a discussion. What is he expecting from you? Especially if you are working under him or teaching for him and doing research and other things of the department, and also doing your research. Set a realistic goal with him. I see in some university they have a contract between you and your supervisor. You state the goal and the guidelines that you and him have accepted in this contract of supervision or advisor. And I think it's a good idea, but not every institution do have this. So you have to set realistic goal and follow up. It is very important that you speak up in the beginning of your relationship. That will go long way in helping you finish on time. Another factor that is to get a mentor. Those with a mentor have higher chances of finishing their school on time. Not your supervisor, additional person outside your institution or within your institution who don't have a direct relationship with your PhD thesis or work, that the person can advise you on a personal and academic level. And it's very important to get such people that accountable. You will be accountable to them. They are like your godfathers or mentor, that they want to see you succeed. You and them can set realistic relationship, and that this will foster your relationship with even your advisor. They can guide you in case there is a conflict between you and your supervisor. You can seek this information from, you can seek advice from your mentor to help you. Personally, I did that. I was having a advisor through this SCG have this program, Mentorship 360, where I am a member of Society of Explorational Geophysics, and I took that advantage to get advisor who was then in industry himself, but a PhD holder, and he has been a professor before, and he was an international student living in different country with family. Just the compatibility between my then advisor and myself was very near, and he helped me to bring out the theory, to understand a lot of things in all aspects, both in the family and the family life and work-life balance, in theory and understanding the methodology. He recommended books for me to read, he recommended fields for me to read, and one of the advice I got from him is for me to read literature, a lot of social sciences as a scientist or engineer, and that it will help me to see the world in different perspective. And I did that. So I was seeing things differently from my colleagues in the engineering, because I was tapping some motivation and inspiration from the social sciences. So it's good for you to have a mentor. It's very good. It helps you a lot, and it's one of the important factors for you to be successful and get that your diploma or degree after your PhD. The last factor in this video and on this topic is project characteristics. And the first one is research topic alignment. The alignment of PhD project with the student interest and the supervisor's expertise is crucial. Work on a project closely related to your supervisor's project, and alignment of these will increase your chances of being successful. In some cases, this old, in some cases it's not. The most important from my personal experience is, do your supervisor have interest in your work? If he has interest in your work, it's going to guide you for you to be able to successfully finish your PhD. The most important thing here is for you to have interests, to have the motivation, and your supervisor also should have the motivation to support you to seek your development. As I said, if your supervisor is having interest in your work, it's not necessarily his expertise is in that thing. And I have it from my personal experience. With my supervisor, I did 2 years with him as master's student and 7 years as a PhD student. And my research was totally different from what he does. I did contamination study and groundwater exploration, and he is more on seismology, physics, that's in this earthquake and others. But because of interest that he has and the belief he has for me, he supported me through the hard time and the low time. And up to now, we have very good relationship because of the good relationship we had during my during my graduate school. So it's important that your supervisor have interest in your work, even if he is in the same expertise as yours. If you detected that he has no interest, is trying to manipulate you, this is a red flag that you need to change, especially if you are into structured PhD. Also, if the project have personal impact on you, you have additional meaning to the project you are working on. It gives you a lot of things a lot of energy to continue because my research was very meaningful to me as I'm growing up in the Zongo community in Ghana. I see contamination spread everywhere with municipal solid waste contamination, river contamination, groundwater contamination, oil contamination of mechanical villages, that when you take a water from the well, when you look inside, you see oil on the surface. And when I got the opportunity to do research, although I faced many challenges in this research, but because I'm thinking that one day or another, my research will help people really understand the migration of oil in subsurface, and it will help in future cleanup of this oil to save life. So I have additional meaning to it, and I was able to survive all the challenges. Yeah, so that's very important when it comes to the alignment of the project to your own core value. If you are doing a project, just maybe you have been high and you need only the money, but you don't believe in the real sense of the project, you better save yourself sometimes and change. Other than that, you will end up with more stress because you are doing things that you think is not meaningful to your life. And also it comes to some people are more into basic sciences or basic research, and others are more onto applications. So know your taste. Are you more into the basic sciences, or you are more into the application, and tune your research toward that for you to get that intrinsic motivation to pursue excellence in your field. And also the last part of this is what kind of freedom do you have, and what is the structure of the project? Within the project, do you have autonomy to change some things or not, to follow strict one way? This also affects your success. So if you have the balance between autonomy and a structure, it's optimal for your success according to literature. That if things don't work this way, you can modify it and change direction easily, not to go through a lot of bureaucracy. If you have that ability in your research topic, in the project you are doing, it's very advantageous for you. And also, is the project have a clear deadline and clear guidelines? This is very important, to have a clear guidelines and deadline, but the deadline should be able to be flexible also because of the unseen, and that the guideline should be able to guide you in doing your thing, but also it can be changed. If that is so, then it helps your project, and it shows that you can be able to finish your PhD on time. And also students who have sense that they can make independent decision in their PhDs have higher chances of finishing their PhD on time. Mostly is for the structured PhD that they communicate with the supervisor and he accepts that, okay, you can change direction. But if you are more on a contract that the belief of the project or the professor is to do this, at times is a little difficult. So for you, you have to know how to navigate it to prevent conflicts. So after all said and done, in conclusion, I'll say PhD student success is influenced by a complex interplay of factors. While exact percentages can vary depending on the specific study and context, the consistent theme across research highlights the importance of strong supervision, psychosocial support, well-aligned project characteristics, personal attributes in contributing to successfully PhD completion. So Now that you have seen the factors that affect you as a PhD student in being able to graduate, I encourage you to tackle one after the other, because this is just a summary. You can be able to really study each point that I've given here and to look at how are you going to work on it to be able to have the full benefit of this information now available to you. I wish you all the best in your PhD journey and hope to see you in my next video. Thank you.